By that being said, right now we're going to bring in live, the man of the hour, founder of DDP Yoga, former 3-time WCW heavyweight champion, former WWE superstar, the man himself, Diamond Dallas Page. Welcome, brother.
Hey, boys. How you doing?
You know,
How you doing, baby? How you doing?
Sound like somebody's in a fish tank.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you're all right.
Yes. Thank you much, DDP, for coming on to the show. I want to ask you, what do you prefer us to call you? DDP, Mr. Page, Diamond Dallas Page? What do you want us to call you?
Whatever you feel, whatever works for you. You know, I pretty much go by Dallas or DDP, whatever people like to call me. I'm good.
That's good, man. Thank you for coming on. We're going to start things off. Dallas, you coming on to the show. We just, of course, saw not long ago the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts. We watched it. Jake, we've traveled with Jake at some point. Jake has always been a great guy with us. Very touching documentary. And we want you, Dallas, to talk to us about how that project came about and what your thoughts on the release and the reaction to it.
We've had an unbelievable response. You know, now that Netflix has it, you know, everybody gets to see it. But when we originally put it out on iTunes, that first month we sort of gave them the exclusive. And what was really amazing, we had like 306 people, give us ratings, and 248 actually wrote like detailed reviews. And out of the 306, 301 were 5-star reviews. So, it really hit people, kind of like right where we wanted it to. The story is genuine. It's, it's authentic. It's real, So, it all started off of, Jake helping me back in the day when I started wrestling and I was 35 years old. Jake came in and started helping me at 36. He mentored me. And I always say, without the American dream, Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. But without Jake Roberts, there's no 3-time world champion. So I always wanted to pay Jake back. And that was really the reason for me to go to him and try to help him. And that's what started it all.
Do you want to? Yeah, we do want to commend you, Dallas, for your DDP Yoga and everything that you did for not only Jake Roberts and Scott Hall, but everybody, those famous wrestlers and even just regular people that was able to have a lot of testimonials of DDP Yoga.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It was really, and I'm so glad people really got the message, for the work. I didn't ever want to make it look like, in any way, like, I didn't want to make it about the workout, but I had to make some parts of it because Jake's and Scott's, their transformation is so dramatic. And it's funny when we were filming, because there's a lot of time where, we talk to the camera. And that's where, it pulls up that, the documentary stuff, where you're really giving someone's opinion of what's happening at the time. And like right now, I'm wearing a DDP Yoga t-shirt. I wear it all the time because I got 10 different types, and I'm always wearing it. So there was times when they wanted to interview me, and I had to go, hold on a second, let me change my shirt because I'm always wearing it.
There you go.
I'm I'm all about branding, And when everybody knows the name, I'll probably hardly ever wear it. But until then, I will wear it until people understand what, kind of help it can give them. And what Jake would say to in interviews, he would say what confidence the workout gives him. And I'm thinking, one day I just pulled him aside and go, dude, what do you mean? How does the workout give you confidence? And he said, Dallas, you have to realize, for 20 years, it was one loss after another to me. Like I hadn't had a win in over 20 years. So when I lost that first 10 pounds, like that was a win for me. It was a big win. He said, and I realized, okay, maybe I can turn my life around. He goes, then when you had me doing stuff where you go from standing to the floor and get back up again, and I couldn't. I felt like a loser. You know, I felt I was so ashamed of myself for letting myself get in such bad shape that, you know, he felt really bad. But then when he started to be able to get to the floor and get back up again, it was a huge win. So, you know, and then I understood it, you know.
It's true. With that, I'm going to turn it over real quick to my co-host, Fantasy Gameboy, and then I'm going to turn it over to Angry Mark. Go ahead.
Mr. Page, first of all, thank you for coming on to the show. I'm a long-time fan of yours, man. I love your work ever since WCW days. Back when, you know, it's so much to cover, but I want to get to my question. The yoga. Yoga is usually associated with different types of spirituality. I wanted to know, when you first started doing, before it became DDP Yoga, when you were just doing the yoga, what was your first real testament that you felt that this was the way to go? When was the first indication that you got when you knew this was it?
Well, you know, for starters, I am the guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga the first 42 years of my life because that was just my mindset, you know. We all grow up certain ways, and that has a lot to say to who we are as time goes on. And I'm that guy. I wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. And I would say that, you know. And when you start wrestling at 35 and your career takes off at 40, you know, as in years old, that was in 96, 97 and 98, I was on top of the world, just signed a multi-million-dollar deal. And then I blow out my back so bad that 3 top spine specialists says I'll never wrestle again. Like, that was pretty traumatic for me, you know. And at that point, I would try anything. So where yoga came into my life and now what DDP Yoga is, it was out of necessity, you know. So first trying it, I was completely inflexible. My body was totally broken. I was frustrated as hell. But I am the guy that never gives up. Like, a lot of people say they don't, but I never do, ever. And I could actually feel, even though I was so inferior starting out, every day I felt a little bit better. But within 3 weeks, I felt significantly better. And I thought, wow, this is starting to help me now. I've been doing rehab the whole time. I've rehabbed both shoulder surgeries, both knee surgeries, so I know a lot about rehab. And I know even more about breaking up scar tissue, which is what alleviates pain and creates flexibility. So I started to incorporate the yoga positions with the rehabilitation techniques. Then I added an old school calisthenics, push-ups, squats, crunches, done with a slow burn movement. And what I found out completely by accident is every time you flex or engage a muscle, your heart has to beat faster to get the blood to the muscle. So I took it from being yoga to this hybrid, which today is known as DDP Yoga, that's kick-ass cardio that will dramatically increase your flexibility, strengthen your core like never before with minimal joint impact. It was Scott Hall that literally gave me that terminology. Like, I wanted to say no impact or zero impact, but my lawyer told me, you can't say that, D, because sometimes you are moving in a way that there's the slightest bit of impact. And it was frustrating me because I didn't know what to call it. When Scott Hall came into my house to live with me, he was in the kitchen. We had it wasn't like I had, you saw the resurrection of Jake the Snake. It's in my house the whole time. You know, it wasn't like I had an office in my house. My house was my office, the accountability crib. So I was having a meeting with all my people who work with me in what I used to call the Sons of Anarchy room, which I had this really big table, boardroom table that was like a dining room table that was like the Sons of Anarchy table. And I got done with that meeting saying, guys, we have to figure out what we're going to call this. We can't say no impact. We can't say zero impact. And I walked into the living room, and Scotty was in there. And he said, Dally, he said, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but I heard you being frustrated about the zero impact thing. Right. He said, what about minimal joint impact? And I went, oh my God, that's it. I literally was so excited, that we had finally figured it out, but Scott did, just listening to it. Scott's really great at that kind of stuff. And he was in the worst shape I had ever seen him. You see him, he shows up in a wheelchair.
Yeah, a wheelchair, right.
That's because he can't walk. He can't walk at the airport. He can walk 10 feet, but he can't walk from terminal to terminal. So they got to pick him up in a damn wheelchair. And he was hurting so bad, but he thought that's just the way life had to be. When I got with Jake, he was hurting so bad. He thought that's how life has to be now because we destroyed our bodies. But it's not. It doesn't have to be like that in your physical being. It doesn't have to be like that in your mental being. Now, obviously, with DDP Yoga, I can help them physically. But the mental part is 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more important than the physical part. Because you can fix your physical body at times, unless you've completely destroyed it, which they were almost at that point. But the mental part. So it took me all that time, and even after, to get them to understand we are the story we tell ourselves. That inner voice, I can't do that. I'm never going to be any good at this. Oh my God, I suck. I'm this, I'm that. Like, stop putting yourself down.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like that. You can change your state, your mindset in an instant. You just have to make the choice to do it. And what I really got them both to start telling themselves was this positive story that was happening to him. Jake and I were in an interview with Yahoo Sports, and he was getting back into all the shit that happened to him as a kid, and all this really dark shit. And at some point, and he's like, this time he's 60 pounds down. He was 40 pounds down, and he was 60 days sober. So I was like, Jake, I said to the reporter, can you give me a minute? And I pulled him aside. I go, bro, why do you keep bringing up all this dark, negative shit? He goes, well, it's part of my life. I go, yeah, the old part. I said, what about all the positive shit that's happening to you now? You got 3 of your 8 kids not only talking to you again, but wanting to spend time with you again. Did you ever think that was going to happen again? He's like, no. I go, but it is. They call you all the time now. I go, you're back to getting booked again, and not for $500. You're starting to make some money you can live off again. People have a whole different attitude about Jake. Why don't we talk about all the positive things that are happening in your life? And that was the beginning. But I had to keep reminding them. A lot of really great shit happening, dude. Really great. Focus on that.
Right.
Wow.
Instead of focusing on the negative.
Thank you for answering my question, man. I greatly appreciate it. Wow, that was deep.
And you sound like this is preacher DDP right here. It's like you preaching to us, and everybody listening. And that's good that you, Dallas, you sound passionate about what you do and you love what you do, and that you're able to help others out and be able to be a reach out for them too. Angry Mark, you there?
I'm here, Tech.
Okay. Dallas is my other co-host, Angry Mark. I'm going to turn it over to him. Go ahead, Angry Mark.
Hey, before you do that, let me just say something. You know,
Sure, go
I
ahead.
think there are some amazing preachers out there. You know, I've watched a lot of them. And when they start to really speak the gospel, the ones who, you know, some of them are just super theatrical and animated, but they still believe what they're saying. You know, they really they own it. And I never think about what I'm going to say until you ask me the question. And then how do I live my life? I just don't talk the talk. I walk it every fucking second of the day. And do I fall down and make stupid decisions sometimes? Hell yeah. But I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to say, okay, I'm not going to do that again. Or if I make that mistake, I'm not going to say, okay, I made that mistake. Okay, I made that mistake again. Now, what did I learn from that mistake? You know, Einstein said, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. You know, change your pattern, change your mindset, change your focus, and anything is possible. And I'm speaking from experience because I've lived one dream after another. Who the fuck becomes a superstar in professional wrestling at 40 years old? Oh, nobody. But I did that.
You did it.
Who takes something like DDP Yoga? If you saw how everyone laughed at me when I told them I was going to be in professional wrestling, not as a wrestler, just to be in professional wrestling, and then I got to WCW. And then I realized they're not going to let me manage guys. So I made a decision at 35 and a half, I was going to be a professional wrestler. Michael P.S. Hayes fell down on the ground, belly laughing. Everyone said I was out of my mind, but they didn't know the work that I was going to put into it. When I was 39 and I wrestled, I was 40. I just turned 40 and I wrestled Sting on Monday Nitro. And we had a 12-minute match and eventually Sting beat me. That next day, I got a call from Michael Hayes. It was on my machine. And as I heard it go to the machine to pick it up, back when everybody had, you know, message machines where you could hear them who called at your house. And I hear, Paige, I got to leave you a message, kid. And I pick up, hey, Mike, what's up? Mike, how you doing? He's like, damn, goddamn son of a big I'm like, Mike, what's the matter? What's the matter? Mother. But, you know, Dallas, you know how sometimes you don't want somebody to pick up the damn phone. You just want to leave a message. I said, yeah. I said, you want me to hang up so you can leave a message? He goes, no, son of a bitch. You got me now. He said, listen, we all saw that match last night with you and Sting. And I'm telling you now, son, I have never been so happy to eat crow in my entire life. He said, that was a hell of a match. You have come light years. Whenever you want to come to WWF at the time, you let me know. He said, because you blew a lot of people away up here. Stone Cold Steve Austin called me after the same match. Kid, just want you to know, red carpet all the way here if you want to come. That's when we were going back and forth at that time. WCW win one week, WWF win the next week. And, man, that made me feel so like, okay, I'm not there yet, but I'm around the corner. And you got to believe it. And when I started doing DDP, when I started doing yoga, oh, my God, they laugh at me. Oh, my God, he named the yoga after himself. Oh, my God, he ain't ever going to get this off the ground. Right now, there's a thing called the top 10s. Do you know the thing on the internet?
Yeah.
It's like the top 10 list for the hottest chicks ever. The top 10 list for the best wrestling moves ever. The top 10 list for the best running backs ever. Well, there's a top 10s list for best home workout. It came out about 2 or 3 months ago. Right now, number 3 is P90X. Number 2 is Insanity. By the way, P90X has 48 comments. Insanity has 68 comments last time I checked. Number 1 is DDP Yoga with 904 comments.
Wow.
I didn't write any of them. I don't have to. But again, everybody laughed at me when they saw what I was doing. But now it's changing the world. And that's what. But again, I believed in it when nobody else believed in it.
Right.
And people see the Diamond Dallas Page character. That character is not humble at all. Dallas Page is a humble motherfucker. But I know who I am. And I know when I'm starting to do something that I'm going to put more work in it than anyone. And I'm going to be passionate about it because I'm not going to do it unless I 100% believe in it. Every fiber of my soul. So that's when it's easy for me to talk and it sounds like preaching.
Wow. That was great. That was great. Angry Mark?
So, Dallas, you had the opportunity to be on Shark Tank. Now, tell me about your audition process. Did you go through the normal audition, like in Atlanta, where you just go in with everybody else, do a 60-second pitch? How did you get selected?
Well, I went the other route and sent them actually my business partner, Steve Yu, we filled out an application like everybody else does. And we just missed the year before we went on. And they called me and they said, we just want to let you know we have your application. I'm like, okay. And so what's the next deal? You wait. And one day I was driving to some show somewhere, and I got a call from him. And the first interview was a phone interview. And I was on the phone for about a half an hour with him. And again, I'm speaking to him exactly how I'm speaking to you. And I had him laughing. I had him going, oh, my God, this is I definitely think we're definitely interested in Dallas. Take it to the next stop. Next stop was they interview me and Steve Yu because they want to know who's going to be on the show. And Steve's my business partner, also the director of The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. He's like a savant, really, really smart guy. Here's a guy who graduated from Ivy Leaguer from Colgate, he always gets pissed at me. It's Cornell. He graduated from Cornell, top in his class, went to IBM, top guy, and then 9 years into it, on the fast track to being a top executive, said, screw this. This is not what I want for my life. I want to inspire people to change their lives. And that's when Steve and I came together about 2 or 3 years after that, and we started working together and helping each other with our projects. And but at this time, he's with me at DDP Yoga, and he's there, and we do a on-screen, audition on Skype. And the next one is they want your pitch. Videotape yourselves and send it to us. Then if you pass that, then they send you this 27-page contract that you have to handwrite out everything. And you have to agree to give them all the power. You have to agree if you want to do something promotionally. you got to run it through them. If you're in Miami or Moose Breath, Iowa, and you want to be on, Fox television because they're covering you for something you're doing for the project that you're actually going to be putting on Shark Tank, you have to call them and ask them first and give ABC a chance to play it first. That's too much control over me. They wanted to know what you're going to put on YouTube, Twitter, everything. So after waiting 2.5 years to get in this spot, I'm leaving for Chattanooga, and that's 90 minutes from Atlanta, where I live. And as I was walking out the door, I looked back at Steve, because remember, the whole thing's in my house. There's 15 people working in my house every day. Well, it started with 5, then it went to 7. By this time, it's about 15 people. Like, my company's already super successful before Shark Tank. And as I'm walking out the door, I turn back to Steve and I say, bro, send an email to the guys at Shark Tank. Tell them we love the show, we appreciate the opportunity, but we're going to pass. And he said, what? I said, we're going to pass. He goes, dude, 2.5 years. Well, I guess at that point it was 1.5 years. 1.5 years. Dude, we've been working to get to here, and you're going to pass. I said, I will never let anyone control my career again. I did that one time coming into the WWF. I will never give anyone control over my destiny. If I fail, it's because of the decisions I made, not someone controlling me. And he said, are you sure? I said, I'm positive. And I walked out the door. And as I'm pulling into Chattanooga, I get a call from Steve 90 minutes later. D, I've got the executive producer on the phone. He wants to figure out how we can fix this. That's what I learned from Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is one of the smartest marketers, the smartest branders. That company is so amazing on so many levels. And I learned from Vince McMahon, again, that I learned from my mistake. Me accepting the stalker angle was almost the worst thing that ever happened to me. But it turned out to be the best because I made that decision. I've never said, oh, yeah, WWE, they did this and they did that. Bullshit. I made the decision to take that angle on. My bad decision. So what I learned from that, I should have stood up at the end of that conversation with Vince and Shane, because he was saying they want me to stalk the Undertaker's wife. Now, I'm coming into the WWE at that time just wanting to be a team player, 100%. But I'm thinking to myself, like, Vince, you're sitting across the table from Kimberly. Are you fucking kidding me? You know that, like, everybody knows that's my wife at the time. And you want them to believe I'm going to stalk that chick when I'm married to this one? But I didn't say that. I didn't say that because, I was trying to come in as just a team player. But Diamond Dallas Page in WCW would have said, are you fucking kidding me? That's what I would have said. But I wasn't being true to myself. I wanted to do People's Champion versus People's Champion, and it took me away from that because I decided to let someone, control my destiny. And it was a mistake, but here's what I learned from it. And Vince gave me the most valuable lesson ever. And I take that meeting, that angle, everything that happened in my life as an incredible positive thing to happen to me. And I'm going to tell you why. Because what I learned from that, you can never be afraid to walk away from the table. When you really believe in yourself, and I say it in Resurrection of Jake the Snake because I said it when I was inducting Jake the Snake Roberts into the Hall of Fame, which no one would have ever believed that was possible. Nobody that knew anything about Jake's history. But I said it in the talk of inducting Jake. Never underestimate the power you give someone by believing in them. But really, more importantly, never underestimate the power you give yourself by believing in you. And at that time, I really believed in me, but I thought, well, they know better. But they didn't. Not for my career. And what I learned is I should have got up from the table and said, Vince, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys bringing me up here. But it's not for me. When you're ready to do People's Champion versus People's Champion, give me a call. Now, that's what I should have done, but I didn't. But here I am with Shark Tank. And I'm thinking, I got to walk away from this table because they will come back because what we have is something they want. Right. Because our story with Arthur and everything we've done, disabled vet, helping a guy go from, forget he lost 140 pounds. Anybody can lose weight. But to lose knee braces, back brace, and wrap around canes you've been walking on, hobbling around for 15 years, and not just walk but run, that's powerful at a whole different level. And I knew they wanted that part of what we were doing because that story was so amazing. And I knew it. I knew I had to believe in myself. And 3 times they wrote me a contract. 3 times I said no. On the 4th contract, I agreed. It was the best thing to ever happen to me. In 5 days, it was 5 or 6 days, we made $1 million. $1 million in 5 or 6 days. I say it's 6. Steve said it's 5. So most likely it's 5. The bottom line is I built a DDP Yoga Performance Center here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're ever here, it's actually in Smyrna, which is where Julia Roberts was born. So everybody knows who Julia Roberts is. This is where she was born, right here in Smyrna. And I built a DDP Yoga Performance Center. I have in it $2.4 million. I owe nothing. I call it the house that Shark Tank built. We just built $1 million app on all 5 platforms: iPhone, iPad, Droid, tablet, computer. The heart rate that you have, a Bluetooth heart rate monitor, goes right inside the app and tracks your entire workout. Tells you how long you've been in the fat burning zone, how long you haven't been, how long you're in the anaerobic zone, how many calories you burned. It tracks everything. I don't owe a thing on it. It's the app that Shark Tank built. So me not walking away from Vince McMahon that day, I would never have known going into my meetings with Shark Tank. So I saw Vince again. I mean, I was to be in the Royal Rumble 2 years ago at 58 years old, and then at 2 days from 60 to be at Mania and actually be in the match. Man, I walked up to Vince, shook his hand, said, Vince, thank you so much for bringing me in here, man. I really appreciate it. He said, good to have you here, Diamond. Like, I'm getting the best push I ever got from the WWE. And it's coming at a time when it means the most. So that's what Shark Tank and everything that happened with me in the WWE, which has been amazing. Last 5 years since I've been doing the very best of Nitros, I mean, it's been a dream come true.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, Dallas, I got an interesting story. My son and I just did the open casting call in Philadelphia on Friday.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and we launched an app less than 10 days ago. We got coverage from all 4 big networks, and we're actually the number 3 fastest growing app for Tation division of Google Play right now.
That's awesome. What's it called? Let's give it some play.
It's Distracted Driving Dave. It's an app to reduce auto accidents in teens, and it disables features on the phone.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, where do you get it? Do you make it for iPhone and for Droid?
Well, what's happening is the iPhone version comes out in July, and we also are launching another app in August called Parental Control You're Grounded. It'll be an app for parents. It'll be an app for parents to use. Download it on their kid's phone. It'll block, individual apps from even functioning.
Wow, dude. I think that's even stronger. It's funny because I've been building. It'll come out July 4th weekend. The first ever video wake up alarm clock, where I come on your screen and I start knocking on your screen. So I thought it was really funny that Rock just came out with his own wake up alarm clock. Where the Rock starts singing to you or talking to you or whatever he does to have the alarm clock. And, it's a really cool idea because who's a bigger star in the world than The Rock right now? Like, what isn't he doing? Like, it's unbelievable. I'm as big as Mark. So, but for him to get on the alarm clock, like when you see our alarm clock and like come on your screen and start knocking on your screen, like it's a video wake up alarm clock. We've been working on it for 2 years. So, but I didn't want to put it out there until we'd already got the DDP Yoga Now app out there. But that's going to be the follow-up to that.
Is that going to be a free app and you're going to do advertising and like Google Ad Mob or what?
We really are only, it's a free app. Yes, that one is free. And, of course, it's a DDP Yoga wake-up alarm clock. So the only advertising will be what we get from people who see, on our alarm clock, that it's DDP Yoga. So that's really the only advertising that would be on it. Because I don't know how to do any of that other stuff. So if you know more about that, I'd like to talk to you about it.
I do. I do. What I'll do is I'll get or if you want to get my contact information, quick, Tech can email that to you while we're on the show. Give me a call after we get off the air. Give me a call after we get off the air. But I do now. I have a wrestling question here for you.
Sure.
All right. So you were in WCW. You had the chance to work with a lot of great Hall of Famers. I want to know, working with Bischoffs, Russos, tell me your experience with both of them.
Well, Bischoff goes so far deeper. Vince I only got to know for a short time when I was there, and it wasn't, and Vince knows, I tell him straight out, it wasn't the greatest experience for me working with him. But I love Vince Russo. I think he's a great guy, and, we've both grown. The boys all forget about how much heat you have with each other to a certain degree, and you let it all go. But with Bischoff, his DVD just came out, his 3-set DVD, and, I've talked about him so much that they used a lot of footage, I guess. I don't know. But I met Eric Bischoff in the AWA in a pull-apart fight. That's how we met. Me and him getting pulled apart. And that next morning, I was going to his room to go see how bad he was. Because it happened again later that night and at the elevator. And the next morning, I was on my way to go see him. I wanted to see how bad he was at 8 o'clock in the morning. I had to go get my flight, but I was going by his room first. And as I'm putting on my boots, my jeans, and my T-shirt, I hear knock, knock, knock. I think it's the maid. And when I open the door, it's him. And Bish had that gray hair since he was 22. And I guess at the time I was 29, he was like 30. And it was down past his shoulders. It was really long. and he had a biker jacket on, and he looked like shit. I mean, he was super hungover. And when I opened the door and I see him, I said, "Oh, wow, I was just on my way to see you." And he said, "Well, I'm here." This is how I remember it. And I said, he said, "I heard I was a real asshole last night." That's what he said. He said, when I opened the door, and I said, "Wow." He goes, "I heard I was a real asshole last night." I said, "Yeah." I was just on my way to see you. And he said, "Well, I'm right here." So in the next breath, he said, "There's two ways we can handle this. One, you can accept my apology and shake my hand. Two," and he pulled his front 3 teeth out, and he said, "or you can punch me in the mouth. Whatever you think is fair, I agree to." And I laughed so hard because I've been in the nightclub business since I was 17. I owned a club in Fort Myers, Florida that was a killer nightclub. But when you're running the place and owning a piece of the deal, you're 6'4" and 220, you're still a bouncer. You're always a bouncer. You're always a bartender. You're always a bar back. You're whatever the hell you need to be when it's your place. And I owned a piece of it and ran it. And I heard every excuse ever to get brought back, getting forgiven for getting thrown out of the club, and now you got to get left to come back in. And I never heard that one. And I just said, "Dude, I've heard every excuse ever to to try to get back in my club." I go, "I've never heard that one." I said, "I'd much rather shake your hand." Because to me, he was the baddest SOB on the planet to be able to come up and say that. And it talked about his character to me, like who Bischoff really was, whether you liked him or not. He was willing to put it online and say, "You know what, I fucked up last night, so here's how we can handle this." I said, "I'd much rather shake your hand." Now, what's funny is I never see him again until he shows up in WCW. And Dusty, who's my mentor, he says, "Listen, D, we need you in Columbus tonight because you're managing the Birds to do TV. But have you ever heard of this guy, Eric Bischoff? Jim Hurd's bringing him in for a tryout." I said, "No, I don't know the name." He said, "Well, he worked up with you in the AWA when you were there." I said, I don't really remember him." He said, "Well, he's bringing him in to do a tryout with you today in the color commentator, in the play-by-play spot." I said, "Tell him he needs to do the play-by-play. And if you like him, help him out. If you don't, you think he's an asshole, just bury him." I was like, "All right." So I'm waiting for him to show up, and it's really late. I mean, like really late. Plane had the air in the middle of the day. The weather in Atlanta, some points of the year can get really bad. So those planes could be flying around for an hour or more too. And finally, he got there. And when he got there, he didn't have the gray hair anymore. He had what everyone saw, the handsome Ken doll, with the black hair and, looked like a model, which he had been doing. And when he walked in the door, I recognized him immediately, but I didn't sell it because we didn't have the time. I was like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" I shook his hand and go, "Come on, we got to go in the back and do this tryout because I got to get the TV." So we do the first. We don't talk about anything. We go right in the booth. We start doing it because I'm so late. And I say to him, after we get done doing our first try, I go, do you really want this job?" And he said, "Yeah, dude." He goes, "I really need it." And what had happened prior to this, when he found out he was working with me, he told his wife when he hung up the phone, "We're toast." And he was like, yeah, and she's like, "Toast? Why are we toast? This is great. You got the audition. It's with Diamond Dallas Page." And she goes, "So?" He goes, "Diamond Dallas Page, the pull-apart fight, the whole thing that happened." She's like, "Oh, no." So this is what's going through his head. Again, the story you tell yourself. In his mind, he thinks I'm going to bury him. So he's going with super baby face, humble bumble shit, you know? And I said, you really need a job, bro. I go, if you do, you got to call the play-by-play. I'll do the color. He's like, okay. So we start again. And about 2 minutes in, I realized he don't know the moves. I go, stop the thing right here. I look at him and I point blank go, you don't know how to do play-by-play, do you? He goes, well, I don't know all the names. I go, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to back it up again, collar and elbow lock up, pulls him into a headlock. He'll fight to the top wrestler, pulls into a hammerlock. Oh, big elbow, roll tackle. He rolls out popping. All right, powdered out there. Good move. And I'll talk about that shit. And so we start again, and I stop, and I go, okay, here, now say this part. We stop again. Okay, now say this part. So I help him all the way through because I'm not thinking he's toast. I'm thinking I really respect this guy. I mean, he's got a lot of balls because he's not that big a guy. But Bischoff's also a karate guy, third-degree black belt. He ain't afraid of nobody. And I respect him just because of his character for what he did by pulling his teeth out and doing that whole thing. So he's thinking, in the beginning, I'm going to bury him. I'm thinking, oh, right, I love this guy. That's what I'm thinking. And we get to the end, and I say, okay, guys, let's try it again. And he says, hold on a second. And I'll never forget it. He put his hand on my leg. He looks at me and goes, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. He goes, do you remember me? I said, yeah, you're the guy I was got in a fight with in the AWA. He goes, okay, just checking. Because he didn't believe that I would help him like that.
Right.
And that's who I am. I'm never going to change who I am because of how anybody acts. And if I respect you and I like you, I'm gonna, and I don't care what happens. Like, okay, let's pass that shit. So that's how we came together, and we both bought homes from Dusty Rhodes' wife on the same street on the other side of the hill. And Michelle, she just got to that. She'd only been living in Atlanta about 6 months. So she didn't really put it together because Atlanta's huge. And she didn't really realize because it was only, about a week apart. And he came in from another angle for his house. So she didn't really realize, so she didn't tell me. So when I tell him, dude, I just got a house, he goes, so did I. I go, where? He goes, Mapleton. I go, get the hell out of here. He goes, why? I go, I'm in Mapleton. He goes, what street? I go, Shannon Green. He goes, so am I. I'm like, fuck you. He goes, no, seriously. I'm on Shannon Green too. We bought houses not even knowing about it. Like, we were supposed to be together over that period. And, one day I told him I was going to be a wrestler, man. They won't let me manage anymore. And he told me I was out of my mind. I was crazy. I was never going to be able to do it. Then I'm wrestling, and we're still going to towns from time to time. And he said, I'm going to run this company someday. I'm going to take Bill Watts' job. I'm going to run this company. I was like, are you crazy? That's never going to happen. What makes you think you can do that? And we would become two of the most powerful guys in the business at one point. Is that crazy? I went through all the ups and downs with him, all the ups and downs. I got to see his thing. I want to see the thing the WWE did on it. I'm sure it's great because his career was amazing. And for him to go to WWE and do what he did and have the impact and get the respect of Vince after everything, is pretty strong.
Well, Dallas, I only have one more question for you. And some people are iffy about answering it, but I think you can. Tell me your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers. Who are you putting on it?
Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Without question, Hulk Hogan. He's got to be on that, thing just for everything done. Ric Flair. Got to put Steve Austin up there. Those are guys that, for me, for the impact. Now, if you're going to take the guys that I think were the best wrestlers for me, Jake Roberts is up there. The Macho Man is up there. Shawn Michaels is up there, and Stone Cold. You know, those are guys that, to me, I love their work. You know, I love watching them in the ring. I learn something every time I watch them. You know, if there was 5, you know, in the first one, Superstar Billy Graham would be there. You know, I love Superstar. But,
wow.
you know, those are just guys that, you know, I think are just, you know, amazing in their day and in the ring.
Well, thank you, Dallas, for answering those. And Tech, our host, should have sent you over my info by now. You should have it.
Oh, let me look just to make sure. Hold on. You did send it? Okay.
Yeah, it did. Just wanted to say to you, Dallas, that your buddy Bischoff is a good friend of ours. He's done a trilogy. He's been on our show 3 times. Definitely love our show. Yeah, Bischoff definitely big supporter of us. Hung out with him and was at NFC Gameboy in Connecticut, Rhode Island. It was in Rhode Island, and definitely loved our stuff. Bischoff's a good guy, very straight up, very honest dude. And we definitely have to check out his his DVD that WWE did, which we're actually glad that he did get something, because we feel sometimes he doesn't get enough credit. That he definitely
belongs in the Hall of Fame without question.
Yes.
You know, there's a guy that you don't really hear many people pushing him towards the Hall of Fame, but he beat Vince McMahon. You know, I mean, we beat them for 87 or 89 weeks in a row. Like, I would hear him tell me that he's going to knock him out. We're going to be number 1. I'm going to knock Vince on his ass. And it wasn't wanting to do it to Vince. You know him, because he's so, and today he's way mellower. But when he was younger, he was one of the most competitive people I have ever known. And, man, he used to tell me, we're going to knock Vince out. I'm like, what are you smoking, man? Like, what are you taking? Like, I'm here with you. You're sober. You know, how could you even say that? But he saw it. You know, he saw it before anybody did, man, and put it together. And, you know, to bid on that ride, it was amazing. You know, one of the things I want to let people know that are listening, because I know you guys are getting ready to wrap it up.
We still got time.
Okay, so on my DDP Yoga Now app, because that's a subscription app, the overall app is free just for tracking and all that stuff. It will help anybody in the fitness world. But the subscription model, like a lot of people, like I've helped so many people, you from the disabled veteran on out, people lost a crazy amount of weight. A lot of people can't really get out of a chair because they're so beat up. Like Arthur was probably 3 years away from like not walking anymore with canes, like couldn't. So I developed a workout starting in a chair, and it's called the Chairmaster Series, to help people, not that paraplegics, not that, because I don't know how it worked for them, but I actually had a kid text me on Twitter, because I answer all my own Twitters. Like I just answered so many at Real DDP, and I double tweet people who talk about the Jake's movie, because I want people to see what people are saying about it. And I double retweet people's tweets I think that are valued or inspiring or whatever. And I saw this one guy who asked me, I heard you come out with a Chairmaster workout. Can it help me? He's a paraplegic. So I don't know if it can or not. So I'm just going to give him the app for a month and see if it can help him. And if it can help him, then I'll be able to say, yeah, it can, because there's a guy doing it. But, people who can't get out of chairs, who can stand up but can't, but for long periods of time, this is where you start. And you start to strengthen your core. You start to break up some scar tissue. You start to build some strength to getting to standing. And then you use the chair to get up and get down like Jake and Scott had to do. And then eventually you hopefully get to a point where you don't need the chair anymore. And that's what the Chairmaster workouts are really all about. We also got DDPY for Mamas, which is, I had one of my girls who was running the DDP Yoga Performance Center who got pregnant, in her second trimester. her in a first trimester and a third trimester girl all worked out together. So anyone at any level can do the workout if they're pregnant. And, you know, I wanted to make sure that we had something for women for that, because we have a lot of women who are pregnant out there who are doing our program, but I don't want them doing the regular programs, because when you're having a kid, it's a whole different animal. Also, this Monday, after we do the live workout on the DDP Yoga Now app, at 7:15, I'm doing an AMA, which is Ask Me Anything on Facebook. So if you go to DDP Yoga, one word, on Facebook, or if you've already liked our DDP Yoga Facebook, it'll come up on your feed. You know, I don't know, we got like 400,000 people now. So I did it just for the hell of it, like to tell people we're going to do it 7:15 on Monday, and it blew up so much. There's like 780 comments on there from this little 20-minute thing I did. I just started asking, people were asking me questions right there. It was on my phone, so I started just answering them. And but we're going to be doing that on at 7:15 on Monday on DDP Yoga. So if you, make sure you go to DDP Yoga. I believe that's 2 words, and like it, and you'll get it up on your feed. If you're in Atlanta, Chicago, or Detroit, we have workshops going on, and they're like 2.5 to 3 hours. It's inspiration meets perspiration, where I talk about my story, and I apply it to you, and how if I can do it, so can you, and inspire you to a point that you feel like you can run through a brick wall. And again, it's perspiration too. You're going to sweat your ass off. But we're not going to get to that till the second half of the program. I'll break into breathing, dynamic resistance. I get into the Diamond Dozen. So everyone, I've had people, the one I did in Baltimore, 111 people, 3 people walked in over 400 pounds.
Wow.
2 people walked in with canes. And then there was other people who were in crazy shape. So it goes from crazy shape, 10 years old, to people who are not in great shape. And I have one person who's coming who's 81. And I make it, because I show them, I get instructors to help them with, you know, using a chair and helping that, and making it so everyone can do the workout, whether they're modifying or they're in great shape. And you have to really see that to believe it. But if you're interested in workshops in Atlanta, Chicago, or Detroit, go to ddpyoga.com and just go under workshops. Boom. It'll take you right there. If you want to come to my retreat, is in November. Some people come for 3 days. Most people come for 7. And this ain't your mama's yoga retreat. This is, you know, we work out hard. We eat amazing. This place we're going to in Dominican Republic is unbelievable. Top end, 5-star resort. This is the second time I've gone to this one. There's only 55 rooms. We completely take over the resort. We work out, you know, and have a good time with that. We eat really good, but we also party, because we take over the whole thing. And some people drink, some people don't. But everybody has an amazing time. So that's in November. Again, go to ddpyoga.com and go under appearances, and you'll see retreat. And I've got a couple. I'll be in Miami if you're down there. 4th of July weekend, I'll be down there I'll be signing at the huge Comic-Con that they have down there. So you can catch me down there. Or on the 24th of July, I will be in my home area of Point Pleasant, New Jersey. I'll actually be in Lakewood, where for the blue, what do they call it? The Blue Claws. It's a AAA baseball team that plays there, and I'll be there for the game. So that's where you can find DDP at. Go to ddpyoga.com, appearances, it's all there.
Well, as you know, DDP, we still got time on the show. I want to ask a personal question, something I rarely do, and then after this, I'll turn it over to you, Gameboy. One of our staff members, she has a rare blood disease, and she just had 2 hip replacements within a year. And she wanted to know if DDP Yoga could end up helping her out.